Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Chat Podcast. I'm Anna, and I'm really glad you're spending this time with us today. This episode is designed to be slow and comfortable, so you can listen without stress and let the English come to you naturally, even if you don't understand every single word right away.
And I'm Mark. As Anna said, there is no pressure in this episode. You don't need to take notes. You don't need to repeat anything if you don't want to. And you don't need to be perfect. Just listening calmly is already a form of practice, and it helps your brain become more familiar with real English.
Today, we want to talk about a feeling that many people have, especially people who are learning English, studying something new, or trying to improve their life. It's the strange feeling of having big dreams and strong goals, but at the same time feeling tired, unmotivated, or even lazy when it's time to take action.
A lot of people know exactly what they want. They want to speak English more confidently. They want to understand movies and conversations. And they want to feel comfortable expressing their thoughts. But even with these clear goals, they sometimes find themselves doing nothing or avoiding practice, and this can be very frustrating.
When this happens, people often start blaming themselves. They think they are lazy, weak, or not disciplined enough, and these thoughts slowly damage their confidence. But in reality, this feeling usually comes from something much deeper than laziness.
People who are ambitious usually spend a lot of time thinking. They think about their future, they think about what they should be doing, and they think about how far they still need to go. Even when they are resting, their mind is often busy, planning and worrying at the same time.
All of this thinking uses mental energy, even if you don't notice it. So when it's finally time to study or practice English, your brain already feels tired, and it starts asking for rest instead of action. This doesn't mean you don't care. It often means you care too much.
When the mind feels overloaded, it naturally tries to protect itself. One way it does this is by avoiding difficult tasks, even if those tasks are important for your future. From the outside, this looks like laziness, but inside, it's simply exhaustion.
Another very common reason people feel lazy is fear, even if they don't realize it at first. Fear of making mistakes, fear of sounding silly, or fear of trying and not improving fast enough can quietly stop you from taking action.
When fear is present, your body becomes careful. Instead of moving forward, it prefers safe and familiar activities, like watching videos in your own language or scrolling on your phone, because those things don't carry risk.
And while you're doing those easy activities, a part of you feels uncomfortable because you know you want to practice English and move forward. This inner conflict can make you feel stuck and disappointed, even though fear is the real reason behind it.
Ambitious people often set very big goals, and those goals sound exciting and powerful. But when you look at a big goal every day without a clear starting point, it can feel overwhelming.
When the brain sees a goal that feels too large or unclear, it doesn't know where to begin. And when the beginning feels confusing, doing nothing feels safer than doing something wrong.
That's why people delay action, even when they truly want to improve. It's not because they don't want success, it's because the path feels too heavy.
Instead of pushing yourself harder or feeling angry with yourself, it can be much more helpful to make your goals smaller and easier to approach. Small goals feel safe, and safe goals are easier to start.
For example, instead of telling yourself that you must study English for a long time, you can simply decide to listen for a few minutes or say one sentence out loud. These small actions don't create pressure, but they still move you forward.
Over time, these small actions slowly build confidence and energy, and speaking English starts to feel less heavy and more natural.
And when that happens, something interesting changes in the way you see yourself and your abilities. When that change begins, you slowly stop seeing yourself as someone who is lazy or bad at English, and you start seeing yourself as someone who is learning in a more realistic and human way.
Yes, and this change in thinking can feel very relieving. Instead of waking up every day with pressure and guilt, you start approaching English with more curiosity and less fear. You stop asking, "Why am I not doing enough?" And you start asking, "What is one small thing I can do today?"
That small question makes a big difference. When your goal feels manageable, your mind doesn't fight against it anymore, and taking action feels lighter and more natural. Even something very simple, like listening to English while walking or repeating one sentence quietly, can feel like progress instead of punishment.
And another important thing to remember is that energy is not the same every day. Some days you feel motivated and focused, and other days you feel tired or distracted, and both of these states are normal. Learning a language is not a straight line, and expecting yourself to perform the same way every day only creates frustration.
Ambitious people often forget this. They expect themselves to always be strong, always focused, and always productive. And when that doesn't happen, they feel disappointed in themselves. But real growth happens when you accept your low energy days and still allow yourself to move forward gently.
That's why consistency doesn't mean doing a lot every day. It means staying connected to English in some small way, even on the days when you don't feel motivated at all. Listening, reading a short message, or thinking in simple English can still keep that connection alive.
And when you stop judging yourself for how much you do, you actually free up mental energy. That energy can then be used for learning, instead of being wasted on guilt and self-criticism. Slowly, English becomes something you live with, not something you fight against.
And once English feels like a part of your daily life instead of a heavy task, your ambition and your energy start working together instead of against each other.
Which is interesting, because many people think motivation comes first. But in reality, motivation often comes after action, not before it. When you take even a very small step, your mind receives a signal that movement is possible, and that signal slowly creates energy instead of draining it.
And this is something many ambitious people need to hear. You don't need to feel ready, inspired, or confident before you begin. You only need to be willing to start in a small and imperfect way, and trust that clarity and confidence will grow with time.
When you stop calling yourself lazy and instead start listening to what your mind and body actually need, learning English becomes much more sustainable. It becomes something you can continue for months and years, not something you try to force for a few weeks.
So if you're listening right now and you feel ambitious but tired, know that this doesn't mean you are failing. It usually means you care deeply and you've been carrying too much pressure for too long.
Try giving yourself permission to slow down, to simplify your goals, and to focus on progress instead of perfection. Even the smallest step forward still moves you closer to the person you want to become.
Learning English is not about proving anything to anyone. It's about building a skill that supports your life, your confidence, and your future, one quiet step at a time.
And as you continue practicing, listening, and speaking in your own rhythm, you may notice that the feeling of laziness slowly disappears.
And what replaces it is something much calmer and more powerful: steady growth.
Thank you for listening to this slow English speaking practice.
We'll continue exploring these ideas together in the next episode of the English Chat podcast.
Until then, take care, be patient with yourself, and keep going.